Now, so far you've seen the implementation of a simple list, using drag and drop in a simple list and between two lists. Now let's add on to that code between two lists and implement the ability for the user to drag and drop multiple rows between the lists. So here we have our two display arrays. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and then my Control key and select a group of rows. And I'm going to drag them over, and again where I place that bar is where the location where these are going to drop. And I've placed them into the right hand list, and the same can be true on the other side, dragging and dropping items from one list to the other. So the multi-row select feature can be used with drag and drop very simply. Again, still within the display array, we are just going to need to check and see which of the rows have been selected and then move all of those rows from one list to the other. So let's take a look at the code for this. First, looking at the form file, again, we're still working with just two different table containers. Form hasn't changed at all. What has changed is in the code, let's go down to the display array, and we'll notice in the drop that something different is happening. We're not just going to simply drop the new row and insert it in one side and delete it from the other. We are setting up a little for loop that's going to use the dialog statements isRowSelected method. Again, that's the multi-row select feature. We're going to use that method to check to see if the row was selected. And again, instead of just simply moving one from one to the other, we're going to first check if it was selected. If it's flagged for selection, we will insert it into the left side, and we're going to set the selection range. So we're looking for the range of rows that have been selected, and then we're also going to delete that row from the right hand side. So the only difference here is this area here being within a little loop and checking those rows for selection. Down here in the right hand side we see the same thing, but for the right hand side. So if something is attempting to drop to the right hand side list, that's what's going to happen. So again, those simple modification to the on-drop interaction block allows us to use the multi-row selection with drag drop. Now, just in terms of turning on the set selection mode to be multi-row selection, I just want to lastly draw your attention to the end of this dialog has a before dialog statement, and it's in that before dialog block that we are setting the selection mode for the left and the right to be true. In other words, we're turning on the multi-row select so that we can allow the user to select multiple rows and then check those rows for selection and do something with them.